here. Cosine law is the only one that works. There we go. It's a little blurry. So cosine of B is therefore going to happen if I take the 12.5 square it and then the other two are squared as well and add it. So it's 2 times 7.2 times 9.6. And you get negative 12.25 and you get 138.24 respectively. So to get angle B, you're going to have to go cosine inverse of, when you divide this, you get negative 0.0886. It keeps going. So that is 95.08 degrees. That is what we're after. Okay, so marks here. Of course, if you selected cosine, we'll give you 1 mark. If that's the one you went with, cosine law, you get 1 mark. For the work you do along the way, you get another mark. And then, of course, you have to get the final correct answer to get the full marks there. So that's also worth 1 mark. Okay, so 3 marks associated there. And the negative is very important. So if you missed that, I would take off a full mark. Okay, if you drop the negative, I wouldn't give you, you would get maximum 2 out of 3 if you did it right. Next, find side A. So it's always across the capital. So this is the one they want. Okay, you have angle, side angle. This is the hidden pair scenario. So the first step would be to find angle B. And so it's 180 minus 98.6 minus 51.8. And that is, you're going to get a full mark for this one. Okay, you get 1 mark for finding that third angle, which then gives you a pair. So you have to use sine law. So sine of 29.6 degrees over 86.9. Right, that's the pair now that you have. Over, if you want to find side A, you have to use this one here, sine of 98.6 over side A. You get 1 mark for figuring out its sine law. Okay, you get a mark there. And then the work here will also be 1 mark. If you show me this step, and that's, sorry, sine of 29.6 degrees. So if you show me all of that work, you should get 173.95 meters. Oh, it doesn't have units, does it? If you just put units, yeah. It says? Okay, yeah. I guess my students do know that they have to read instructions. Good, good, good. So how should I put this? So 1 mark for the angle B, 1 mark for sine law, right? And then 1 mark for the work, and another mark for the final correct answer. So if you picked sine law, but you didn't get this answer, if you did everything correct, you would get 2 out of 3 for that last stretch. Like if you picked 51.8, you found side C, right? That's wrong. So I would give you there 2 out of 3 max, right? Next, find side C, then angle A. So they're actually telling you to do quite a bit of work here. So side C is across angle C. That's side angle side. The only way to proceed there is using cosine law, right? So C squared is equal to 5728.6 squared. And I'm just gonna write it out. I have a feeling I'm going to run out of room. Let's see if I can manage to do this. Cosine of 73.6. Yay. There you go. And so C is square root of 38,589,236.88. And then so C is 6212.02 meters. So for this one, we'll give you 3 marks. So basically, you get 1 mark for choosing cosine law. You get 1 mark for all the work you did, and then another mark for correct final answer. So cosine law, basically if I see something cosine law related, you get 1 for sure. And then you need to show me the work, and you have to have the correct final answer to get 3 there. Angle A, I'm going to use the sine law because I now have a pair. So sine of 73.6 degrees over 6212.02. And so if I want angle A, I have to go sine of A 4513.7. That's my setup. So cross multiply and divide. Sine of A is going to be 4513.7 times sine of 73.6 divided by 6212.02. Angle A is going to be sine inverse that is, of 0.6970, and it keeps going. And I'm going to continue here. Therefore, angle A is 44.19 degrees. If you use cosine law or sine law, you should both get approximately the same answer. Anybody use cosine and got something else? Did you get the same? Exactly the same? Anybody else use cosine law and got 17? You know what? Give yourself some mark there. But on a test, right? If I actually have the answers for both when I do a test key, so you know how it should be close to this for sure. All right, so 3 marks for that last step, right? So basically your setup 1 mark, your work 1 mark, and then final answer 1 mark. So 6 marks for that last one there. So what is this page out of? 13, 7, and 6. So this page is out of 13 if you want to tally it already. Back side. Fun one, a double triangle, right? But it tells you find the length of A. It tells you what to do first and then X, right? So you basically cover up that second triangle. Okay. You cover that up, and then just worry about this triangle right here. So side A, you've got 2 angles, and one side you actually have a pair here for sure. Right? So you have to use sine law to get you started. But I also need to find this angle. So I'm going to find that angle. So angle A is 180 minus 60 minus 45. So angle A, that's 120, 75, right? 75 degrees. So you get 1 mark for this guy. How's that? Okay. Sine of 75, sorry, sine of 45, my bad, over 10 is equal to sine of 75 over side A, right? Because the 75 that you just found is in there, and that allows you to find the side across from it. You have to, that should be something you really hone in on, right? Like if I want the side, then I need the angle across from it basically, right? That's always the deal, even with cosine law, okay? So A is 10 times sine of 75 over sine of 45. And A is 13.66 meters. So rounding, make sure you take rounding marks off if you don't have that. If you forgot your units, you should be taking half off. I wouldn't take off every time for units. Like if you didn't do units for the whole thing, I'd take maximum of 1. Okay. And then let's go over to this side. Now that you have allow me to write that in here. Now you're covering the other one, right? You're going to cover that one. And you have side, angle, side, right? See that? Side, angle, side. So you have to use cosine law. I didn't do the mark breakdown for that one, but I will. Yeah. What did you get close or 19.3? 32? You have the exact same thing? Then I will check it. Oops. Can you check? Is yours set to degrees? Okay, I'll come and see you because I feel like it's a calculator the way you enter it. So we'll figure that out for now. So sorry, I'm gonna go here, side, angle, side. So if I want to find x, I need to square it. And then I take 15 squared plus 13.66 squared minus 2 times 15 times 1366 times cosine of 70. X is square root of 271.4357 dot dot dot, and that's 16.48 meters. So of course you get 3 marks for this if you did everything right. So if you get the wrong answer, just take off 1 mark. But you wouldn't take off again for the second step. Like if you carry this over with you, you don't lose again, provided you do all of this correctly, okay? So let's say you only make a mistake on this one, you could still potentially get 5 out of 6 here for these 2 steps, right? How about this? Anybody else get something different here? Okay. So just take off 1 kilo for now. I'll come and check that out. That's something with the calculator, I'm sure. All right, so we have partially filled in diagram here, but it's fairly simple to, well, it's fairly straightforward to just fill in the information, right? So they want that power line to go across here, across the pond. A surveyor measures point B to C as 580. So from here to here is 580. And from A to C is 337. So that's that. What's the distance from A to B? So side, angle, side. And the reason why I threw this one in here is because this. So you really need to be careful with your calculator. That's an obtuse angle. There's some potential for mistakes there because you're going to get a negative out of that. So this is how I'm going to do this. Just to, would that throw you off? Side AB squared. If you want to call this side C, that's fine. It's the same thing. But that's 580 squared plus 337 squared minus 2 times 580 times 337. Cosine of 105. AB is square root of 55,146.5411. So side AB or side C is 742.39 meters. You get 3 marks. 1 mark for cosine law. Obviously, it has to be the right formula, right? But if cosine is there, you get 1 mark. 1 mark for the work and 1 mark for the correct final answer. If you need to figure out how to type this in, okay? If you had issues with this, pay attention, okay? Pay attention to what I'm about to show you here. If you're doing the second half in separately in your calculator, you need to watch out for the double negative, because if you just go 2 times 580 times 337 times cosine of 105, you're going to get a negative. That's because of this. So that negative with this negative up front actually turns this whole thing positive. So it's basically saying this squared plus all of this. So you need to be careful when you enter that into your calculator, okay? What are we at here? This page is worth 10, right? So we're sitting at 23 total. So make sure you write down a mark out of 23 at the top here. Make sure you write your first and last name on that paper, because I've had some no names, not necessarily this class, but it has happened.